Welcome back to This Week, where we highlight the next generation of conservatives stepping up to challenge California's one-party rule and defend faith, freedom, and truth. Today's guest is Roman Medeiros, just 18 years old and already one of the fastest rising young voices in the conservative movement. He's the host of the Roman Medeiros Show, which has reached over 1.3 million views and 15,000 plus followers in only 4 months. Roman has already been featured on national television multiple times, including The Charlie Kirk Show and OAN with Dan Ball. And he's hosted high-profile guests like Sheriff Chad Bianco, D.A. Dan Dow, Stephen Davis, and Grant Stinchfield. Originally from Paso Robles and now a college student in Riverside County, Roman balances school soccer and working on a congressional campaign with his growing media platform. Inspired by President Trump and mentored through the example of Charlie Kirk, Roman is boldly carrying forward a mission to defend the gospel, build up Christian conservative leadership, and speak truth into a culture that desperately needs it. Welcome, Roman.
Wow, what an intro.
Yeah.
You're going to do the intro for my wedding, okay? What an intro. That was awesome. That was incredible.
Wait, so you're doing a lot. I've been seeing a lot of the work you're doing. It's good work.
Thank you.
What got you initially into this?
So, are you familiar with Future Farmers of America?
No.
So the FFA is an ag organization, and it's basically a bunch of high schools across the country have different FFA chapters and organizations, and basically it's an ag class. So I was taking an ag journalism unit in high school, second semester, senior year. I'm bored. I'm like, I don't want a hard schedule. I'm sick of school. I was sick of high school the second I walked in as a freshman. So I was just like, you know what? I'm over this crap. I'm like, I just want an easy schedule, second semester. So I took an ag class. Not really interested in agriculture. San Luis Obispo County, wine country.
Yeah.
Paso Robles, wine country. We've got more wineries than Napa Valley. Wine country. Paso Robles is the wine country. I'm not buying the bullshit. No, can I cuss? Sorry.
Yeah, say whatever you want. Yeah.
I'm not buying the bullshit narrative that Napa Valley is like the wine country capital.
Yeah.
It's Paso Robles, ladies and gentlemen. So you want good wine, you go to Paso Robles. But I obviously have not had the wine. I'm 18 years old. No. So all jokes aside, though, it's a beautiful place. But where was I? Oh, ag. So I'm not an. I don't come from an agriculture. Yeah. So I don't come from an agriculture family at all. So I'm taking the class, and we did a project. It was a journalism unit. You had to go out within SLO County, find an ag issue. I did ag policy and water rights, and then you had to go find a local leader within that industry, and basically interview them, have a conversation with them, and then you had to write a journalism piece on it. So, like I said, I picked water rights, ag policy, and I reached out to a bunch of elected officials within SLO County. SLO County is what I would consider a purple county. Yeah. It can be flipped with the right candidate, with the right conservative candidate. It can be flipped in Congress, in the state assembly, in the state senate, whatever it is. It can be flipped. One of the actual only person who got back to me was a supervisor by the name of Dawn Ortiz-Legg. So Dawn Ortiz-Legg is a liberal. She's very liberal. She's a liberal woman, and she's been doing it for a little while now. And I was kind of reading stuff on her, and I was fascinated because I disagreed with about 9 out of 10 issues. Mm-hmm. Like, really disagreed with her on 9 out of 10 issues.
What were some of the issues that she supported?
Pretty pro-DEI.
Oh,
so, yeah. So, already I wasn't a huge fan. And I'm like, come on. Like, am I really going to have a conversation with her? And I got on the phone with her. We had a 2-hour conversation. We talked till 8 o'clock at night. Finally, she says, Roman, I've got to go home. I've got to go feed like my family. I've done walking my dogs. Like, I've got to go make dinner. She's like, I got to go. But she said, we had a wonderful conversation. And I was fascinated by not just how wise she was. She was very wise. And I learned a lot from her. But I was blown away because here's this woman that, as a conservative man, I feel like to a certain degree, I'm almost kind of taught to not just not like, but I'm almost expected to disagree with in some regard.
Yeah.
And I have a conversation with her in the first 30 minutes. It was very substance based in regards to water rights and ag policy within SLO County. The last hour and a half was like politics, President Trump, Ukraine, Israel, faith, life. It was fascinating. And
did you align on that stuff on the last hour and a half?
It was fascinating because we walked away probably agreeing on at least about 5 out of 10 issues.
Wow.
And that blew my mind. It blew my mind. And what it showed me is dialogue is dead within our country. We need civil discourse. And Charlie Kirk is one of my biggest inspirations. He's one of my biggest mentors and role models. And Charlie, like myself, Charlie believed dialogue is dead within our country. That's why when he would go and do those campus debates, he didn't say all conservatives come up to the mic first.
Yeah.
He said all liberals, where are the liberals, come up to the mic. And he did that for a reason. It's because he recognized that maybe from a marketing and an entertainment standpoint, he wanted the liberals on the mic because he didn't want this confirmation bias, confirmation narrative from the conservatives. Yeah. But he recognized that we needed civil discourse within our country. And whether he walked away agreeing with everything they said, maybe not, but I'm sure the liberals definitely created thought-provoking ideas and thoughts and questions within Charlie to kind of go and maybe be like, hey, I need to go research in this area, or hey, I need to go sharpen on this tool or whatever. Because I can tell you when I had the conversation with her, I was blown away by how much we not only agreed on, but I really understood that as Americans, we all want the same fundamental values.
Yep.
We all want safe streets for the most part. We all want to feel safe in our neighborhood. We all want peace. We all want peace within domestically, peace foreignly. We all want to have a thriving economy. We all want to be able to afford groceries and take our family out to dinner. Or, if you're a grandmother, you want to be able to take your little grandson out for ice cream and not feel threatened. Yeah. Like, that's the reality. And that's the world that we live in 2025. And I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that 90% of Americans, left, right, conservative, liberal, atheist, faith-based, I don't care. I truly believe they all want those fundamental values. And when I started to recognize that, when I had that conversation with her, I really recognized dialogue is really dead, and I want to go and have conversations with people. So,
well, that's a really good point that you just made, and it kind of illustrates, I think, something that I've discussed a lot here, and something that gets brought up a lot in different political circles. It's like we all see the same problems. We just have different solutions to get there. And there are also different conversations of like both parties being kind of the same, just somewhat different perspective. Okay. That's really cool though. It's interesting, that was like a big awakening for me at one point in my life when I realized that. And I kind of took a step away from the two-party system at that point. I was like, I don't want to do my own. I was an independent, registered independent for a long time because of that. Because I was like, I want to vote just on policy or on the candidate. And, I still kind of think like that. I just choose to be a registered Republican because I just think we have a better chance of winning and actually doing good things than like an independent.
I call myself a Trumpican.
A Trumpican?
I call myself a Trumpican because there's so many people within Congress that are conservatives that technically align with the Republican Party that I can honestly tell you I strongly disagree with them, one of them being Senator Lindsey Graham.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I mean, if he's considered a Republican, I'm considered a Trumpican. He is not if that is what the Republican Party is going to look like, I'm not a Republican.
Well, he's a neocon. It's a little different. He's like a war hawk, Right. It's like
so it's like, for me, I'm not that kind of guy. And I'm just like, I guess I really align. I was thinking about this. I was actually laying in bed the other day and somebody told me, Roman, you always align with these kinds of people. And I totally align with anti-establishment politicians.
But that's what the Republican Party is outside the Lindsey Graham. You have the Lindsey Grahams are like the old guard, I would say. Especially the Trumpicans, like you're saying, where a lot of us are like anti-establishment.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very anti-establishment. I think that's why when I was 8 years old, I was originally gravitated to President Trump because he came with this anti-establishment energy and he came kind of balls to the wall saying whatever he wanted. And he had this kind of I'm going to speak what's on my mind and I'm going to speak the truth. And I loved that because there was no phoniness, there was no fakeness, there was this realism, and there was a personality that people were able to connect with because he was so personal, because he was so charismatic and charming, and he was able to he was just captivating. He was so captivating. I mean, I literally remember watching him at 8 years old, watching Trump debate, and I'm just blown away by this guy at 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I remember begging my dad on voting day.
Yeah.
You know, it was election day, and I remember I had school.
Yeah.
And my dad said, yeah, you can come with me. I remember begging him, Dad, please. And I remember I wore my Trump shirt, and it literally said Trump 2016. And I'm 8 years old, and I'm standing outside of the voting booth, and I'm like so excited. Like, I remember staying up all night watching it. Like, I was just fascinated. And that was 8 years old. I was 8 years old.
Well, that's beautiful. You know, to be fair, I think even an 80-year-old was impressed by Trump back then, because it was like he really came in and kind of got politics and broke it like fine china, you know?
Yeah, I think there's just this realism about him. There's this, he's very personable. And I'll give you an example. And I'm not going to say the person that told me this, because I don't want to I don't think he would care, but I don't want to tell him, you know, put on air. But one of my good friends he's an independent journalist. He's within the media industry. He's become very big, and he's 21 years old. He's a college student, and he's been doing this for about 5 years. He has White House press pass. He's doing really well for himself.
Yeah.
And he's an independent journalist. And I called him the other day. I go, hey man, we were just talking about an hour conversation, a wonderful conversation. And I go, you know, out of everybody you've met, you've interviewed Vivek Ramaswamy, you've interviewed congressmen, congresswomen, governors. I mean, anybody down the line, Nikki Haley to Nancy Mace. I mean, right? So you've got all these names in the book. I said, dude, out of everybody you've met, like Ron DeSantis, President Trump, I go, out of everybody you've met, honestly, who's just super cool? Like somebody that's real, like that's the same person off camera, like that you just want to go to the bar and have a beer with. Like who is just cool? And he goes, immediately, instinctually, he goes, President Trump. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, I started laughing. I go, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. But he's like, honestly, I'm saying that sincerely, because President Trump is literally the same off camera as he is on camera. He is so real. He's so personable. And the only thing that surprised me about him was the fact that he cussed way more behind the scenes. I did not realize how much he's holding back on camera. He was holding so much back on camera. I was cracking up. I go, seriously? He goes, dude, that guy cusses so much behind scenes.
I mean, he's from New York, so I would imagine so.
I was like, what a beast. Are you from New York?
Yeah, I lived in New York I was born in Jersey.
Yeah, because
grew up
your
in
accent.
Brazil. Yeah, born in Jersey, grew up in Brazil, lived in New York for a long time.
How long did you grow up in Brazil for?
Like until I was 12. I was sent to boarding school in Florida, then went back to Brazil for a bit, and then back to back to Florida, then a year and a half, then back to New York.
Wow.
So I lived in New York for like 10, 11 years, and then I've been here for 10.
So what brought you out to California?
Work. I was in New York, I got work, and then it was like, and then that work became an opportunity to move out here. But let's talk about you. This isn't about me. So you get started in doing this. How have things been rolling? You were featured on the Charlie Kirk show. How did that happen, by the way? Let's talk about that.
That was crazy. Dream come true. Literally a dream come true, my friend. Yeah. I was actually in the airport, the Dallas-Fort Worth airport in Texas, and I was flying from California to Texas to Florida for the Turning Point event in July. Yeah, in July. And I was bored. 5-hour layover. I'm a social guy. I said, I'm sick of being on my freaking phone. So I go up to this guy and I start talking to him.
Yeah.
Have a nice conversation with him. And he goes, hey, you know Joe Bob? You know Joe Bob?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm like, yeah, I know Joe Bob. He goes, I'm Joe Bob's producer. I go, bullshit. He goes, I'm Joe Bob's producer. I go, bullshit. He goes, I swear. I'm being honest. I go, there's no way. He goes, yeah, I swear. I'm actually his cousin too. I'm like, really? He goes, I'm like, so you're obviously, I knew Joe Bob was speaking at the event. So I'm like, we're on the same flight. He goes, yeah, I'm flying out to Florida right now. And I'm like, okay, that's sick. And so we had a wonderful conversation, exchanged contacts and text for a while. And then maybe 2 or 3 days into the Turning Point event, I think it was like a Saturday, I want to say, all the presidents of the different Turning Point chapters were leaving a meeting. And I get a text from Tino, his producer. And he's like, hey, man, Joe Bob finished setting up his booth. Come upstairs, second floor of the convention center, and you can come meet Joe Bob, check out his, studio and stuff, or his booth. And so I did, and I went up there, and I had a wonderful conversation with him. 20 minutes, like so real, so personable, just very authentic. Like it was fascinating because Joe Bob to me was like a big name, couple 100,000 on Instagram, like big conservative comedian, got his own night show on Turning Point tonight on Real America's Voice, right?
Yeah.
So like watched him, listened to him. So for me, like I'm thinking this guy's a big name in my eyes, and you would have thought he was just a regular guy. I was blown away. I was just like,
it's like a chill dude.
Oh, so chill. Like I don't think he wants the fame at all. Like, and the fact that he also is a comedian and like a conservative comedian, almost if you want to compare him to like a Gutfield-esque, maybe not as big of a name, but a Gutfield-esque, you would think those guys would be a bit more extroverted, a bit more like boisterous. Not at all. I was like, this guy's so chill.
Yeah.
But so we had a wonderful conversation. By the end of it, he goes, hey, over there, Charlie's doing his live show for the Charlie Kirk show, because every morning Charlie would do his show on Real America's Voice. So I'm like, yeah, I want to go check it out. So I go, and there's people, but I kind of weasel my way to the front.
Yeah.
And so I weasel my way up to the front. And at the time, now I know. So Ben Berquam, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So Ben Berquam, I'm sorry because I didn't know who you were leading into this.
Yeah.
But now I know who Ben Berquam is. And so I kind of weasel my way up to the front. And they're talking about the Epstein files. Him, Jack Posobiec, Steve Bannon. And Charlie goes, all right, let's turn the cameras to Ben Berquam on the ground. Let's hear what our live audience has to say about the Epstein files. I'm just standing there thinking, I'm an audience member, guys. And to my right, there happens to be a guy whose name's Ben with a mic, and he's staring at a camera 10 feet away from Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right, guys, so we're live here in Tampa, Florida, blah, 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 blah. And he turns to his right, and he asks the lady the question regarding Epstein. And he looks at me, and he goes, kind of like, hey, you want next? And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I guess I'm doing this. I said, fuck it, let's go. I said, fuck it, let's go. So I text my mom right away, and I go, Mom, go to channel 219. I'm about to be on national television. And now she's like, what? And she's going, and I just put my phone away. And so I mean, it's still surreal to me. So then Ben Berquam turns, asks me the question regarding Epstein and the Epstein files, and I gave my honest answer. At the time, looking back, there's things I've gained more knowledge. There's things I wish I have said. There's ways I wish I articulated myself better. I'm very critical of myself. So, looking back, I'm like, I wish I said this. Why didn't I touch on this? Needless to say, it was one of the greatest moments of my life. And I will say, the moment that the crowd didn't like, and you could feel it in the room.
Yeah.
So, regarding Jeffrey Epstein. I was saying, on national TV, I was one of the first people actually technically within the media that was literally on national TV calling for Pam Bondi to resign or for President Trump to fire her by Monday of the next week. So I said on national TV in a room full of conservatives, I go, and by the way, Pam Bondi needs to resign or President Trump needs to fire her by Monday of next week. And everybody's like, and everybody's like, what? And because President Trump, I think that day just on Truth Social said like, no, Pam Bondi, she's staying on board, X, Y, and Z. We like Pam. She's loyal. And I'm saying Pam Bondi basically has been a complete incompetent attorney general. She's been a disgrace to this country. And I go on and on and I go on. And Charlie's kind of like, I looked at Charlie's face and he goes, and then I go, and let's not forget, she was a lobbyist for the Qatari government. And everybody's like, oh shit. And then Charlie Kirk was like, oh fuck. Right? Oh fuck. But I was being honest. I said what's on my mind. Now, do I think I was a little bit harsh on Pam? Sure. Am I a huge fan of her as Attorney General? No. I actually love President Trump's cabinet. She's probably one of the only members I'm not super fashionable about. I'm not a huge fan of hers. I'm not. I don't think she's dumb. I just feel like in regards to the Epstein files, she was completely incompetent. And again, I don't want to focus on that because when this was all happening, the way I described it was, I think it was like kind of around the 6-month mark of his administration, and everybody's talking about Epstein. I'm like, I'm sick of talking about this fucking guy Epstein. But I said, this is like President Trump's Tom Brady, and this is the Super Bowl, and it's halftime.
Yeah.
And he's on a 4-year contract, and it's halftime into his first season, and they already made it to the Super Bowl, and he's thrown for 500 plus yards, 10 touchdowns, and he throws one pick, and all of a sudden, all of the pundits in the media for the halftime show, all they're talking about and all they're replaying is that one freaking interception.
Yeah.
And the interception was the Epstein files. And I love President Trump. I give him an A+ rating in regards to his administration and his presidency up to this point. But in regards to the Epstein files, it was a pick, right? It was a pick. And I have a couple theories on that, but it was a pick. And I was just like, Pam Bondi, I think is the one to blame for that.
Oh, I think she totally fumbled the bag. She set everything up from the beginning. She said like, "Oh, we're gonna release it," and then didn't release the whole thing.
Well,
just give out these binders that everybody had the same info.
Yeah, and by the way, she screwed over our friend Jack Posobiec. She screwed him over.
She screwed over a bunch of people. Libs of TikTok too. Like everybody who got a binder got screwed over.
Right. Well, and two, what I think was fascinating about that event is Pam Bondi, 2 days before she came out to the media and said, "Oh, there's no Epstein files. Oh, shut up, you idiot, you conspiracy theorist. Stop talking about it," and did a really, really weird kind of FU to the American people, essentially.
Yeah.
2 days before that, she says, "We've got thousands and thousands of video footage, thousands and thousands of hours of video footage of basically elitists within politics, within government, within the media, within business, within Wall Street, that have completely taken advantage of underage children, and we have it all on video, and we have the files, and we have names, and we're going to hold people accountable." And then 2 days later, all of a sudden, Pam Bondi is like, "Shut up, idiot. You guys are retarded. You guys are idiots. You guys cannot question me. I'm the Attorney General of the United States. I'm the chief law enforcement officer in this nation.
Yeah.
Shut up. There's no Epstein files. Epstein's actually not a real person. He actually never lived, by the way."
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Epstein, who, I don't know, who is he? I don't know, Dennis. Is he real? I don't know. But that's basically what she did. And it's pure incompetence. Again, like I said, she's the chief law enforcement officer for the greatest country ever known to man. You've got to have a better reaction. Sorry. Period. The end.
No, I agree. She completely, and she tarnished the reputation of the administration along with it. So it's not that it's tarnished, but she just like temporarily, because honestly, I don't even think it's, look, if there was something on Trump, Biden would have released it.
Or how about a guy named Donald J. Trump with his wife Melania, the future first lady, came down the golden escalators of Trump Tower in 2015 when he announced his campaign for president.
Yeah.
Okay, 2015. He's been running on the same things for that whole time, and a lot of the same things, a lot of the same principles and values he's been preaching, he's kind of stuck to that up until today.
Yeah.
So the guy Donald Trump is a pretty open book, and if you're Barack Obama, you're the president of the United States, you're sitting in your office, in the Oval Office, and you lead this country, you can kind of have access to whatever you want in regards to the Epstein files. And if you felt like this guy, Donald Trump, was such a threat, why didn't Obama release it? Why didn't the Obama-Biden administration release it? Because if you had dirt on President Trump, who you know, if you were looking at the polling, looking at who the Republican nominee was, you realize that he was going to be the Republican frontrunner. And then your friend Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, was going to be the liberal and the Democratic nominee. So when you realized that, you knew Hillary Clinton is your good friend. You want Hillary to be the first female president. You want Hillary Clinton to take your place in the White House.
Yeah.
To end Donald Trump's real estate empire, to end his business, to end basically his celebrity view. I mean, to end his life, to end his career.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? You release the Epstein files. You tell the American people that the guy that you're about to elect for president is a child predator, and he did X, Y, and Z with underage children, and he did it completely illegally, and he did it knowingly, and he needs to be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Why didn't Barack Obama do that? Maybe because President Donald J. Trump is not in the Epstein files. Okay, great. Why didn't the Biden-Harris administration do it? Maybe because President Donald J. Trump isn't in the Epstein files. And by the way, if President Trump was in the Epstein files, why did they come up with this Russia collusion hoax?
Exactly. They went on a manufactured memo. They spent millions of dollars investigating that instead of what was real evidence that they had.
The Russia collusion hoax literally came out to be what I now call, instead of Russiagate, I call it Obamagate, because that's what it was.
Oh, 100%.
It was Obamagate.
Oh,
right?
they spied on Trump, and they paid for that fake dossier.
It's exactly what happened, right? So you clearly recognized Donald Trump was a threat. You clearly recognized you wanted to wipe him out. You clearly recognized that the American people were going to elect him to be the next 45th president of the United States of America, and you thought that creating this fake Russia collusion hoax was going to end his political endeavors. It failed. He became president. And like I said, if President Trump was in the Epstein files, the easiest way to end his political career is expose the Epstein files. I truly don't understand. This is common sense. Again, I'm a common sense kind of guy. When you asked, are you conservative? Honestly, I'm a Trumpican. I'm a common sense guy. I just say things the way I see it, and if they align with my morals, I'm a very faith-based individual. If they align with what I believe from a spiritual point of view, that's number one. If they align with the way I was raised, the way that kind of I was brought up, that's the way I view it. And I just say things the way I see it. I'm no bullshit. I'm no BS. I'm no fluff. I'm just a common sense individual. And to me, this is a very common sense scenario. And why is it being delayed? Do you want my answer to that? Or do you want to answer?
I have some answers, but I'm curious to know yours.
No, you go.
Well,
I've been talking a lot. It's your show.
I want to hear from you, but I'll tell you some of my thoughts on it. I think part of the reason why they haven't released it, so it's twofold. First off, I don't think he's in it. He was the first celebrity or the first person to completely ban him from his properties before he banned Epstein, before there was even a case, right? But the reality is, to me, why they haven't released it is because there's no evidence, and it's better to just have the conversation and the speculation out there to feed the conspiracy theorists than it is to actually, I'm talking about for the Democrats, right? They prefer that. And that's why they didn't release it under Biden, and that's why they're doubling down on saying all this stuff now. Now, as far as why I think it hasn't been released now by Trump, I think there are a few different reasons why. I think it would compromise our intelligence operations. I think that he may have been an intelligence asset, and whether he worked for Mossad or the CIA or whatever it is, I don't know, but it's definitely in the files. I think that there may be a lot of really powerful people that are involved in it, and maybe directly or indirectly that could have their lives negatively affected. You know,
do you think Trump cares though? I mean, even in this recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, he said, I was the hunt, or they say, what did he say? He goes, I was the hunted, now I'm the hunter.
Yeah. Well,
that's a powerful statement. That clearly is telling the American people on national television, right now, I'm out for blood.
Yeah.
And if you were my enemy, if you did anything to attack me, to threaten me, to bankrupt me, if you were a part of raiding Mar-a-Lago, if you were a part of the indictment process, if you were a part of the impeachment process, I'm coming out for you.
Well,
I'm coming after you, excuse me.
So here's what I think. I think that's a little different than what's going on. I think that there may be people who were genuinely not a part of that apparatus that came after Trump.
Yeah.
And I also think that, just slipped my mind, but here's the thing. Trump is a patriot. And I think at the end of the day, if he sees that something's going to compromise our national security or like our intelligence agencies that are working on something, I think that he would make the choice to like, okay, maybe let's not release this now. Maybe down the line.
Bingo. That's my theory. He's a businessman. Okay. Trump is one of the greatest entrepreneurs in American history. Mm-hmm. Trump's mindset, and again, I'm not Trump. I'm just an 18-year-old kid. I'm not an entrepreneur. But I will say, from what we know about Trump, the way I personally view it is I'm like, this guy's using it as leverage. He's recognizing the names that are on this list. He's read the list. He knows he's not on it. And he realizes that there's a lot of people in Congress. There's a lot of people in power. There's a lot of people domestically and overseas, like a lot, that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, whether it was with children or not, whether it was with business or not. I think a lot of people were involved with Jeffrey Epstein in a very illegal fashion, and Trump recognized that. Now, in Trump 1, they gave him hell. In Trump 1, they gave him hell. They made his life miserable. Not that they're not doing that now, but again, we have the Senate, we have the House. He won the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. The American people, recently a poll just came out that the White House posted, his approval rating's at 57%. It's a pretty solid approval rating. Okay, so for a majority of the mass of this country, they're backing him, and they're still backing him. Okay. Trump's recognizing that the Epstein files, he wants to use as leverage, and I thought this was so interesting that when, that the height of the Epstein files, who were some of the loudest voices on this issue in Congress?
Just now or the first time it came around? Because there's
both.
like two different...
AOC. Okay.
Well, just now AOC, yes.
Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib. Okay. What is kind of the age category within these individuals? They're all pretty young. Is that fair to say? Okay. Brandon Gill, the conservative, was pretty vocal about it. Okay, great. All very young individuals. What's that tell me? Is that where was Nancy Pelosi? Where was Chuck Schumer? Where was Mitch McConnell? Where were some of these senior members of Congress? They were pretty quiet. You didn't hear much from them. And I thought that was fascinating because these were individuals that very, very likely were implicated with Jeffrey Epstein. And in regards to the files, they weren't the ones on the congressional floor screaming at their fellow colleagues in Congress to basically put pressure on the president to release the Epstein files. It was AOC. It was Rashid Tlaib. It was, Ilhan Omar. It was these very young radical left extremists. And I thought that was really interesting because some of these older senior members of Congress were really quiet about it. And I just thought, why? Why is that? Are they implicated? And I think the president knows they're implicated. So that's kind of my take. I think he's using it as leverage. And I mean, even if you looked at Jeffrey Epstein and what he did in regards to business, did you know that he was a financial advisor for the former Prince of Saudi Arabia?
No, but that makes sense. And they're out there, they're pretty, I've heard a lot of stories about the stuff they do out there. You ever hear about the toilet IG girls?
No.
Oh, you don't want to know about this. Google it afterwards. I don't even want to get into this. But that's all really fascinating. I love how passionate you are about all this stuff. I'm thinking that passion and how much Charlie inspired you. This has been a conversation that every group that I go to, every meeting, there's always this conversation about Charlie's legacy. As somebody who was influenced by him and it being kind of still fresh, it was like 2 weeks ago. I mean, what do you see his legacy as? How are people in Gen Z? If a boomer is like watching this, like how are the streets of Gen Z talking about this?
Well, I think it's a great question. And Dan Ball asked me a similar question when I was on OAN. And my answer is very clear. The Southwest director of Turning Point, that's essentially what they call it. They reached out to me and they said, SLO County, San Luis Obispo County, which is where I'm from, you guys don't have enough Turning Point chapters. So you have Cuesta College, which has a chapter, Cal Poly SLO, which has a chapter. We want to create Turning Point USA chapters on high school campuses. And they didn't have any at Paso Robles High, Templeton High, Atascadero High, Mission College Prep, San Luis Obispo High. What else? I'm missing a couple. Arroyo Grande. They didn't have any. So they reached out to me. They said, Roman, we want to create Turning Point or Club America chapters on every single high school campus within San Luis Obispo County. So that's a clear testament that there is a need, that people want this, and that it's happening. And I said this on Dan's show, and I'll say it again. I don't say this to be braggadocious, but I'm blessed that I've been given the opportunity to lead basically the founding of every single Turning Point chapter within San Luis Obispo County in regards to high school. And I truly want to be a voice, a leader, a role model for these young high school students that want to be a part of this organization. It's an incredible organization, and I truly believe that Charlie's legacy is only going to multiply.
And are you seeing a lot of, because there was a huge shift in this last election of young men. Charlie had an extraordinary impact in college campuses. Are you seeing people become more comfortable accepting being conservative, not because they weren't, but because you got kind of put down for being a conservative for a while? People on the left would just scream you down, right?
Yeah. I think conservatism and being proud to talk about your conservative values and what you stand for and what you believe and what you align with politically, I think that's coming, and I think you're seeing it not as quickly as I would have liked. And I'll tell you why. From a faith-based perspective, holy shit, Dennis. Young Gen Z men are rapidly sprinting to God.
Thank God for that.
I'm blown away. For example, my soccer team. I play college soccer.
Where do you play at?
Norco College.
Yeah.
I am blown away, and we're having the best season in Norco College's history right now.
Are you guys undefeated?
We're not undefeated, but it's a small college. They are not historically good, and within the last couple of years, they've had a really strong team, and we're even doing better than
Well, you're a
teams.
striker.
I'm a winger, yeah.
You're a winger.
Yeah.
Any goals?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm a freshman, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't put you in yet.
No, I've gotten minutes, but like the way this college soccer works, I'm learning is like you'll get minutes in preseason.
Yeah.
You'll get minutes in some of the games that they feel they can manage you, and then like we went on a streak of just playing some like hard hitting, historically really good teams, and it's like they keep the same starting 11, and then they change maybe one or two subs.
Gotcha.
Like for example, we had a game today. 6 guys didn't play.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, only 2 guys from the bench came on.
What's your coach's name?
Nah. I actually really like him. No, I actually.
Coach, put him in.
No, I actually really like him. This is not me bitching about it.
I know, I'm not.
I actually have a lot of respect for him. I actually, out of all the coaches I've had, he's been by far my favorite, and I say that sincerely. I really like him, and from a tactical perspective, he's, I think, a genius. So I actually really like the coaching staff.
Put him in, coach.
No, but so anyway, on my soccer team,
yeah,
they're all Hispanics. Okay, they're all Mexicans, and I was talking to them. We had dinner. We actually had a game, and then we were going to In-N-Out, and a group of us were sitting at a table, and they were asking me a bunch of questions about kind of what I did, my show, kind of how I started. They're asking me questions about it, and we had a wonderful conversation, and I was kind of talking to them because a lot of them don't really know where they line politically, and a lot of them are just kind of not interested into politics, so they're like, you know, and a lot of them don't do the research either. So talking to me, it was kind of like they were genuinely asking questions. It wasn't like kind of just a piss off, goof around conversation. It was a sincere, genuine conversation. So I was really happy with that. It was very substance based. And so we had a wonderful conversation. And anyway, they were just asking me different questions because they're not watching the news. They're not reading articles. They're not really watching, or actually they do. I will say they actually do watch podcasts, which I'm blown away by. But they do that. But
where do they get most of their news from? Like TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok. Literally, a lot of them had a bunch of questions about Candace Owens in regards to Charlie. Like
she's going crazy, stupid viral on all these conspiracy theories.
Soccer. I had a good friend from Paso call me last night. I've had two good friends from Paso.
What do you think about that Candace Owens stuff? She's saying,
I don't want to comment quite yet because I want to almost give myself more information and deep dive into it more. Okay, in regards to conservative politics, I'm not a huge fan. She's not one of my favorite commentators.
She's a little gossipy for me. I don't like that.
Yeah, and maybe that resonates with the female audience because the good friend of mine, Remy Campbell, shout out Remy, she's the one. She's a female, a senior in college. She's the one who reached out to me and asked me about Candace. So maybe she does resonate with those gossipy college girls, dude. Remy, you're very gossipy, but dude. No, but honestly, I'm just not a huge fan of hers. I've never been a huge fan of Candace Owens, for a couple different reasons. But in some regard, I actually do think there might be some truth, some substance, some truth to what she's saying. I actually do. Yeah,
I think it's important to ask questions. It's just I
appreciate the fact that she's asking the questions.
Yeah, that is definitely. I just think that it gets to a certain point and it just becomes a little self-serving in the sense that like she's clearly getting a lot of attention. Her reputation took a little bit of a hit with the whole like Brigitte Macron thing. You know, her going as far off the deep end. It's one thing to like investigate.
They're in they're in a legal. They're in a lawsuit. Yeah.
So, but this
like put this in perspective. The French government, a foreign nation's top leaders, are literally suing a conservative podcaster from the United States of America. God bless you, Candace, because the fact that you have that big of a pulse on domestic issues, but also global and world issues, and the fact that you have that much power that the French government thinks you are a threat, that they will go to the extent of suing you.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass, Candace.
No, I see that perspective. I don't think it's power. I think at one point, you know, the conversation in media, it can get so nasty at some point, and people find pressure points that get them attention. And they will mine it. They'll content farm it, right? To use like internet terms, they content farm it. They find that little niche and they farm hell out of it. Totally. And sometimes it makes no more sense, and it becomes it borders on like straight up harassment, right? And I think it was an important story to bring attention to, but I think it gets to a certain point where you're literally fabricating evidence, or like you're ignoring the evidence that you're being sent.
I completely disagree with that. What I appreciate about her, though, is the fact I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I 1,000% agree with what you're saying, because if you're going to fabricate evidence, or if you're going to create this narrative to only align with kind
your
of
side.
This, exactly, or only going to align with kind of this certain opinion or narrative that you're trying to portray on your audience.
Yeah.
I radically disagree with that.
And she ignored, apparently, she was being sent evidence of, the evidence she was requesting on her show, she was actually being sent that and just chose to ignore it.
Yeah, so, I radically disagree with that.
Yeah.
What I appreciate, though, is the fact that she's asking questions. This is why, again,
it's important. Yeah,
it's important. And this is why, in some regard, I'm not like a diehard Tucker fan, but I do support Tucker. Some issues, absolutely not. But in one regard, what I appreciate about Tucker is he asks questions. Mm-hmm. Like I do truly believe that. Even like with Israel, like I'm pro-Israel. Like I'm pro-Israel. Now, financially, am I pro-Israel? Probably not. Am I morally pro-Israel? Absolutely.
Yeah.
From a biblical stance, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was born in Israel, died in Israel, rose on the third day in Israel, preached to the Israelites, preached to the Jews, and in Revelation, he promises to come back to Israel. So from a moral aspect, I'm very pro-Israel. Now, the questions that Tucker's asking, though, are very thought-provoking and very interesting, and I have to say, to a certain regard, I do agree with him. So I'm in kind of a weird middle ground with Israel.
I think it's important to have conversations about things, and sometimes they don't go the direction that some folks who strongly advocate for certain policies, or you know, when you're dealing with public discourse, it's a little different than politics. That's why I think it's important, like you said, for Tucker to go in those directions.
Yeah.
Right. That said, when Charlie, you know, when everything happened with Charlie, there still is some discourse. People were saying, well, you did this to Charlie. He was like the most, you know, milk toast, vanilla, like conservative as far as takes go. You're going to see young men go to Nick Fuentes.
I know. And I'm not going to lie. They are. No, they are. And again, I use a testament to my soccer team because these are gentlemen who are not very political. These are gentlemen who aren't watching the news, who aren't watching debates, but who are seeing clips on TikTok and Instagram.
Fuentes?
And dude, and then they're sending me.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting text messages and I'm being sent DMs and, you know, clips on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and even on iMessage of like guys who have not a big opinion on politics that are liking what Nick Fuentes is saying. Like, people are like loving my generation. Gen Z young men, by the way, love Nick Fuentes.
Wait, but are they watching like the full segments or just like the 30-second clips?
No, it's the clips.
The 30-second clips.
It's the clips of women need to shut the fuck up. You know, it's him going off. And in some regard, like, okay, I'm not a Nick Fuentes fan. I'm a Charlie Kirk fan. When you ask me, Roman, what are your politics? I almost 100% agreed with Charlie Kirk. And I say that like literally. Charlie, you said, Roman, who do you want to be the next president? Charlie Kirk. Charlie was my guy. But there's something, again, and I'm an anti-establishment kind of guy, and there's some things I really disagree with Nick Fuentes on, but dude, that guy is entertaining. Yeah. He knows how to clip farm. He knows how to click bait. He knows how to sell. He knows how to market. He knows how to entertain. Yeah. And he knows how to get attention. And whether it's good news or bad news, Nick Fuentes is in people's, ear.
He's in their feeds.
Yeah, he's in their feeds.
And I got to be honest with you, same thing. I don't agree with him on everything, but I can say this for a fact. He is funny as fuck. Like, whenever I see a clip of his pop up, regardless of what it is, I'm like, this shit's funny.
So funny.
Like, yeah.
And I think he's really smart, by the way. And I think he's super articulate and he's charismatic and he's captivating. And that guy I think he is special. I think he's special. And he's not much older than me, but he's created a huge platform. Yeah. I truly believe, though, I don't see him rising to political power, though. And the reason I don't see him rising to political power is, okay, great. You're resonating with young, masculine men that are Gen Z. But you're not resonating with the 45-year-old soccer mom at all.
Yeah.
That has 3 daughters. You're not resonating with her at all. You're not resonating with the mom that's divorced because her husband was a drug addict and is now in prison and she's a single mom. You're not resonating with those kinds of people. So I don't see him gaining or rising to political power. Not that he can't, but on a national scale, I think he's getting a lot of attention. He might create a movement. But Charlie, this is the difference. Charlie Kirk was viewed by my age, your age, my parents' age, my grandparents' age. Everybody loved Charlie Kirk. Everybody listens to Charlie Kirk, watched Charlie Kirk, watched him on TikTok, Instagram. That's how he really resonated with my generation. But I would even sit at 9 o'clock in the morning having my cup of coffee, watching the Charlie Kirk show on Real America's Voice. Yeah. Or then you have my uncle who's a garbage man and would listen to him on the radio. Yeah. Charlie was so universal in the way he was able to get his voice, his message, and essentially his agenda onto so many different age groups and audiences and demographics. He was a mastermind in that regard. And I don't see Nick Fuentes doing that. I don't see him resonating with different age groups, different categories, different demographics, other than the very masculine, very alpha male Gen Zer.
Yeah, I see that. I see what you're saying. He has his niche and he knows how to do his thing. With the Charlie thing, you hit it on the head totally. Like yesterday, we're in West Hollywood filming right now, and this area isn't necessarily known for being very conservative. Yeah. But I was eating at a nearby restaurant, and I'm sitting there, and I start chatting with the owner. He's like this older dude who's in his late 70s. He's dressed like a punk rocker because he's got like a rock and roll place. And we start talking, and he starts telling me about how much he loved Charlie, and how much his wife loves Charlie. And then his wife comes out. She tells me about it, and like. And then the story got kind of sad because they told me about how their granddaughter was like super like this brilliant, talented artist. And then she went to UCLA, got completely brainwashed, dropped out, and now is this insane leftist
the indoctrination
going around the country.
Real. Can I give you an example? Sorry,
give me an example. Because just to finish that story.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
She dropped out of college and is traveling around the country like a leftist protester, isn't paid by anybody.
Yeah.
And they're like terrified that she's going to throw her life away. Oh. But tell me about,
God bless her,
what have you seen as far as indoctrination?
Okay, you guys, I go to school in Riverside County.
Yeah.
Fairly conservative area. It's Norco, California. If you've ever been in Norco, California, it's very conservative. Okay. I'm going to school. First day of college ever, Dennis. First day. First class ever, first college experience ever. I walk on campus. It's like 12:30. I'm going to class. I talked with like 6 different counselors, my soccer advisor, the athletic director, the dean. I talked to so many people to make sure my schedule was in line with my major, which is political science. My mom was there with me, and my mom doesn't even live here. My mom drove down, and she literally was like, we're with the counselors. They're like, yes, this is an English 101 class. Roman, it aligns with your major. You can transfer to UC and Cal State. Oh my gosh, great. English 101. English fucking 101, Dennis.
And what did they teach you? English 101?
Okay, English 101. I just want to express that it was English 101. First day, I walk in. So, if anybody can tell, too bad we can't shift the camera. The professor was probably as white as this couch.
Oh my God, dude.
She's probably as white as this couch. She would have not fit through that doorway right there.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like one of her legs, probably. I'm not joking. She
built like an elephant.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I don't even elephants.
Woolly mammoth.
I align with the conservative party, the Republican Party. She's not an elephant. She's a rhino. She's a fucking rhino. That is no. But so fat as hell.
Yeah.
Huge, beautiful nose ring, bull nose ring.
What's with the septum ring? Why do they all have septum
beautiful,
rings?
nice flower tattoos.
Oh, Jesus
nice,
Christ.
Like blonde, but like couple green streaks hair. Just great look.
Yeah.
Unbelievably attractive, by the way. Just, I'm being sarcastic, as you
I
can
couldn't tell you.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. Just so attractive, right? So, yeah, she was disgusting. And so she sits down, takes her computer out and opens it.
Was she a millennial?
She was probably early 30s. So is that millennial?
My generation ruined everything, dude.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
So she opens her computer, and she's got like an Apple laptop, and she opens it, and she's got some cool stickers on it. You want to know some of them?
What?
She's got a nice a nice heart, a nice
flag?
Heart that has these cool rainbow colors in between it, and then she's got another cool rainbow flag on it, and then
it's all propaganda.
She's got another big sticker that says "Radical AF." On
Jesus Christ.
She's just a radical. Great.
Wow.
You're telling me that you're already a radical. Well, I'm a radical too. I'm a right-wing radical extremist, if you didn't know. If we want to play that game. When I talk to Corinne Rankin, I'm a moderate conservative. But, with you, I'll be a right-wing radical extremist.
That's how she'll see you, yeah.
Right. Oh, well, exactly. If I said I was Christian, I was already a right-wing radical extremist.
Yeah, she probably, what's the name of that teacher from Harry Potter? Demerits, whatever it is.
I don't know. I didn't watch her.
You didn't watch Harry Potter?
No.
You didn't miss anything.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So, no, it gets better. Oh, it gets so much better.
Yeah.
So she opens it, and it's Radical AF. Great. Okay. Got a couple gay flags in the classroom. Okay, cool.
Not just one, a couple.
Yeah,
Was there an American flag in the class? It's all right. The fact you can't even remember probably says that you can't.
I'll look on the video. I'll actually get back to you because I did film. I filmed this because I was already ready to send it to Fox, OAN, Newsmax, Real America's Voice. Dude, I was mass producing this shit. I was like, fine, if I'm experiencing this, we're capitalizing on it. All these right-wing pundits, all these anchors, they love this kind of shit. I said, you know what? Grant Stinchfield, Dan Ball, Riley Lewis, Sean Hannity. Let's go. Get the story. Let's get the segment on. Get me on the show. Come on. How about that? So, I'll look back. I really don't remember, and I'm being serious. But, so, okay, great. She's got some stickers, super ugly, whatever. Now I'm like looking around, and I'm recognizing like I'm kind of the only normal looking person. And I hate the word normal.
Yeah.
Like I do because it's like, what's normal? But like people that had hair that was not their natural hair color, right? Blue hair, purple hair, a lot of nose rings, a lot of colored hair, really overweight. There's a consistent pattern within like radical left-wing extremism where they've like got a lot of tattoos, which not anything against tattoos. My dad's completely like sleeved. So not that, but they're like 18 years old with a complete sleeve and like neck tats. It's just like, I don't understand that. Yeah. They've got like purple hair, nose rings. I just find it like, why is that? Like, this is the theme, and they're all super unattractive and super fat, and like literally almost every one of them look like carbon copies of each other, and I'm not even making it up.
No, it's true.
So then the teacher introduces herself. Okay, interesting. On the board, she writes LGBTQ+.
Oh my God.
LGBTQ+.
From the first thing she wrote was LGBTQ.
On the whiteboard, LGBTQ+, right? And she goes, ladies and gentlemen, this is an LGBTQ+ themed class. I said, are you fucking kidding me? She goes around and she proceeds to say, the first book we're reading is Queer Life. Woo!
Jesus Christ.
We're reading. Oh, shoot. I fucked up the mic. We are reading Queer Life, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm like, this is real. Like, this is actually happening. So sorry about that. But
it's all good.
So the first book that we were going to read is Queer Life. It was an LGBTQ+ themed class. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I dropped out of the class within 30 minutes, by the way.
Good for you.
So it's an LGBTQ+ themed class. And then she pulls up the syllabus.
Yeah.
And I'm honest to God, I sent it to my mom. And by the way, my parents are not political. My parents are patriotic, faith-based, patriotic, conservative leaning, not outspoken about it. You know, never were the ones that would have a Trump sticker on their car, or, you know, never the ones that would have like a Trump flag on the flagpole, or, you know, would go to a party and immediately start talking about politics. They don't even like watching the news. So I did not get this from my parents. So, and my mom is very much like, kind of thinks like sometimes I overreact. So a lot of the time she'll be like, Roman, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you have to do to get the degree. Sometimes, you know, it's a means to an end. Sometimes it's, you know, you just got to do what you got to do, whatever.
Got to play along.
Right, to a certain degree. Because I'm already going into college with the mindset college is a scam. So I'm sending her this footage, and finally I sent her the syllabus, and she was blown away. She goes, Roman, drop the class now. She goes, this is insane. Normally I would be the one that says, you know what, stick with it. Like, sometimes you're going to have a liberal professor. You're going to have to deal with that. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, this was more than just a liberal professor. This was more than just a professor who disagrees with you. And it gets worse, by the way. So we're going through the syllabus, and it's like Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, and then like whatever, like midterms or whatever. And so they're like breaking the year down, and every unit is LGBTQ related. So for example, it was like history of the LGBTQ movement. And then she started talking about how the gay community was the suppressors to the lesbian community. So lesbians were,
Jesus Christ.
She was telling us, so by the way, if you were in this class and you were gay and you were a white gay dude, honestly, you were basically like a white Nazi, like literally. That's the way she was describing gay people, which I was blown away by the way. Like, if you weren't like a lesbian, like furry, transgender midget from Africa, dude, you were not like, it was like, you're not a person. Like, what?
You're an oppressor.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
She was describing that the gay community were oppressors to the lesbian community, which I was like, I didn't think I would hear that, which I was just like, okay, like I don't give a shit. I'm not gay, but I was just blown away. I'm like, what the fuck? I would not expect that from an LGBTQ plus class. So then it literally gets worse. She was talking about how technology is racist.
Oh my God, dude.
No, she said technology is racist, and I'll tell you why. She goes, when the first iPhone came out, they came out with Face ID, or when they started to come out with Face ID, they only did it for white men. So all of a sudden, the black community, it gets so good. The black community started basically a bunch of black dudes were stealing other black dudes' phones because they could face ID and it was working. And I started, I'm not going to lie, I started hysterically laughing in the back of the classroom.
Yeah.
And I just bust up laughing. She goes, apparently in Asia and Africa, those were the two areas where they didn't do face. Apparently, she's claiming they didn't do Face ID for. Yeah. So a bunch of phones were being stolen. So she was claiming to us, technology is fundamentally racist. Dennis, technology is fundamentally racist.
Wow.
I mean, I was just like, oh my God, this can't be real right now.
You're going into debt for that.
Like it was mind boggling. So there was then she was talking about so anyway, going back to the syllabus, it was like LGBTQ plus history, like figures, and it was like going around. Then the intro wasn't like, hey, what's your favorite movie? Where are you from? What's your major? Maybe, I don't know. How old are you? Did you graduate high school? I don't know. Those weren't like the opening kind of get to know you questions.
Was it your pronouns?
Bingo! No. So the opener, like the kind of like the get to know you was, hey, Dennis, what are your pronouns? And if you don't feel comfortable, it's okay. You do not have to say, but like, what are your pronouns? And, what is your spirit animal?
Oh, Jesus Christ. What does this
they
have to do with English?
They said, what is your spirit animal? That one got me. I wasn't expecting that. I kind of was expecting the pronouns, but they're like, hey, Roman, like, what is your spirit animal? Yeah. And that one like got me. And then they were like going around. And then the third thing you had to say was like, what was it? Oh, what are you most looking forward to learning about the LGBTQ community?
Yeah.
And I thought like, okay, wow. So they're going around. By the time it got to me, Dennis, I actually walked up. I packed my shit up. I'm not joking. Honest to God, God is my witness. I grabbed my Bible and I walked out of that classroom and I literally was clenching my Bible and I literally walked out. I went to the counselors. I said, I need to drop this class. Then I talked to my AD. Sorry, first when I was talking to the counselors, they didn't even know that there was an LGBTQ plus themed class, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Every counselor I spoke to didn't know that. The athletic director didn't know that when I spoke to her. And then the athletic director went to the dean of the English department at this college. And she went up to him and she goes, I have an athlete, a student athlete who wants to drop out of one of your English classes. Did you know there's themed classes? And he goes, what do you mean themed classes? And she goes, apparently it's an LGBTQ plus themed class. Mm. And he had no idea. The dean of the English department had no idea what the athletic director was relaying, the information she was relaying on my behalf. Mm. And when she came back and told me, I was just like, are you kidding me? And she goes, no. But anyway, I ended up dropping the class and I didn't go back to that class. But like the indoctrination is real, Dennis. Yeah. Like this is how they get you. Thankfully, I'm very morally aligned and I truly don't give a shit what people think about me. I was filming it and I literally text my mom. I go, I'm not joking. I will get kicked out of this school before I conform to this ideology because these universities, and it was very evident on day one, on hour one, class one, that these universities are left-wing, extreme, radical, LGBTQ plus infested systems to corrupt the youth and destroy the youth and destroy the next generation. And I believe how do I explain this? I truly believe the reason they thought Charlie Kirk was such a threat to them is that these college institutions had these college kids for 4 years. The whole population of students for that institution they had for 4 years. And they had 4 years to indoctrinate them. They had 4 years to manipulate their minds to conform to their ideology. Okay. Then a guy named Charlie Kirk comes on your campus maybe once a year at best for 3 hours and only gets a very small portion of the whole school population. Now, again, Charlie was doing thousands and thousands of students on these college campuses. But again, if you're going to Cal Poly SLO and the student body is 30,000 and he got 3,000, okay, you do the math. Like, again, he's not having the majority of students. He's having a small population of the students. But still good numbers, right? So you kind of get what I'm saying. But the reality is Charlie was able to get a small amount of students in regards to that institution and within 3 hours, ask the right question, claim the right fact, and almost be able to kind of unlock this. How do I explain it? He was just able to get these kids to think for themselves. That's the honest reality, is Charlie was able to, whether it was through fact, through reason, through just great articulation, through one sentence sometimes, through questioning, he was able to unlock these students' minds to a world where they were able to start thinking for themselves, or they were able to go home and be like, you know what? Well, is he right about that? Like, oh, crap, he's right about that statistic about abortion. Okay, let me go research that more. And then, wait, I'm a Christian, but Charlie's right now. Like, I actually shouldn't morally, I should morally align with that. And right now I'm not. And he was able to really get these kids' minds to start thinking for themselves. And these 4-year institutions find it so threatening. They really do. They're trying to create an army of activists, of radical left-wing extreme activists who conform and are great at doing what they're told.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. That's why he was dangerous. You see the impact before this last election of how quickly all the campuses like went to the right.
Yeah.
And I think that because of what they did to him, it's irreversible now.
Yeah. I mean, this movement has only multiplied. This movement has only grown. And with the death of Charlie Kirk, again, I'm only speaking based off what people are DMing me and telling me from a Gen Z perspective. Mm-hmm. I was blown away. I was driving back down. I was actually home when I was down here when he died, but then immediately I drove back home, and I was with my family for the weekend. And I'm driving back down to LA, and I got multiple, like a shit ton of DMs of people I've never met. Actually, a dude from New York. Put this in perspective. A dude from New York who's going into his freshman year in college from New York, from Staten Island. Never met him, never heard of him, didn't even follow him on Instagram, but he followed my show. He watched me, and he DMs me, and he goes, just had a lot of words of praise, which I was really grateful for. And then he goes, hey, I don't know you, but I'd love if you could call me. I want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the car, LA traffic. Of course I'm going to call this kid. Why not? Yeah. I have a conversation with him. We talked for about a half hour, and he goes, Roman, I want to help you. I want to be a part of something greater. Mm-hmm. I feel called to do something bigger than myself, and I don't know what that is. And I don't know, do I start an organization? Do I do this? Do I do that? I want to help you. I love what you do. You inspire me. And I was just blown away. And I had multiple kids call me. Another kid who's actually starting her own organization on the Central Coast. It's still in the process, so I won't talk too much about it. But her name's Kendall. She called me. She's a law school student. We had a wonderful conversation. She's from where I'm from, but I didn't know who she was. I didn't follow her on Instagram. Again, she actually watched my speech for Charlie at the Paso Robles Park, and she DM'd me, and she just, again, had nice things to say. And she goes, Roman, can we get on the phone? Yeah. Same drive down. We got on the phone. And what I keep finding interesting is every kid I talk to that wants to talk to me, they're saying, Roman, I feel called. They keep using the word called. And I love that because they're feeling something greater than themselves working in their life. They're feeling the Holy Spirit work in them in ways they've never felt before. They are feeling a divine intervention. And this is the most beautiful thing to say. Politics aside, politics in the end is a bunch of bullshit. Mm-hmm. We are seeing a spiritual revival within this country, within Gen Z especially, and I'm seeing it firsthand. And when they are using the word called, that only gives me, and then, it gives me chills, quite frankly. But then I have a conversation and they're like, I went back to church for the first time after Charlie died. I opened my Bible for the first time. I immediately, when Charlie died, I got on my knees. I started praying. Mm-hmm. You guys, this is real. And whether you want to believe it or not, maybe you're going to think, this is just another kid who's out of his mind, another Christian, I say whatever you want. I think it's time that if you're not a believer, proclaim Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, because there's a spiritual revival happening within our country. And somebody asked me this the other day. They go, Roman, America's not built on biblical values.
I have no understanding what this country's built on then.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I go, do you know how many of the founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence proclaimed Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? Do you know how many? They go, no. I go, do you know how many signers of the Declaration of Independence there were? They go, no. I go, well, I'd like to inform you that there was 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, and 55 out of 56 proclaimed Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And they were like, really? And I go, yeah. God in the Declaration of Independence is used 4 times. That alone is enough to tell me that this country was built on biblical principles, biblical values, and anybody that claims otherwise, it's scary, but honestly, my advice for you is you're in denial, open a history book, and start reading.
Yeah, I agree. I want to close on something, because I've noticed a lot from going to a lot of different meetings and being involved with the party for a while that there's a gap right now. There are the boomers, and then there's the zoomers. And there's like, I'm in the middle. I'm in the gap where like all the millennials, like, you know, they're kind of like your teacher, a lot of my generation. So as the younger generation that's actually coming in and will eventually fill the ranks of the boomers, I can tell you that the boomers are like desperate. They want more of you guys involved. And they're like, how do we reach them? So if you could send a message to a boomer that's watching this, what would you tell them?
On how to reach
Gen Z or what the sentiment is, or what they can expect from Zoomers?
Well, my advice to the older generation is guys like me, and I do not say this selfishly, I really don't, but I'm finding a common theme in this is I'm 18 years old. I'm a college student. I work when I can, but as you can imagine, I'm playing college soccer. I'm going to school. I'm working on a congressional campaign. I'm working, and I'm running my show. So as you can imagine, I'm not the wealthiest individual. So my advice to the older generation, if you want to see a true significance within the Gen Z Christian conservative movement that Charlie Kirk has kind of created the foundation for, and if you want to see that be multiplied, if you want to see that movement grow, if you want to see that movement truly expand and become the greatest spiritual revival in our country, the greatest conservative movement that our country has ever seen, even beyond the MAGA movement, I think Turning Point USA can literally be one of the greatest organizations in American history in regards to bringing people together in Christ and bringing people together in conservative values. If you truly align with Christian conservative values and you're an older boomer, my advice is donate to Turning Point organizations. I'll give you an example. You know what? I haven't said this on air. And I'm actually going to say it because it's been in my mind, and I'm going to say it. So, Cal Poly SLO, located in San Luis Obispo, California. I was talking to their president, the Turning Point chapter of their Turning Point chapter, and I had a nice conversation with him. And I go, they're doing a huge Charlie Kirk vigil, huge ceremony in the PAC. They're expecting 1,500 people. They're doing a huge ceremony. They're having the DA of San Luis Obispo go out there and talk. They're doing a wonderful event where they're going to be able to honor Charlie, and I think it's open to the public, so they're going to have older voices, older ears, kind of be able to hear what these young kids have to say. And I was talking to them. I go, what's the biggest problem you're running into? They were running into 2 problems. Funding being one of them, and the other one, and this is just to honor Charlie Kirk. They were just trying to get funding to be able to actually make this production happen. So they said funding being one of them, and the other one being just the school was given hell, like just making it absolutely their lives miserable to actually produce this. Yeah. They actually ended up needing to get the DA involved, the district attorney, who's now actually ended up speaking at the event, but they needed to get the DA involved to actually just let the kids do this, which is mind-boggling because it's a clear example of a threat on your First Amendment right. So I just find it absolutely incredible. But my advice is if you can donate to a Turning Point chapter, donate to organizations that you align with, because I can tell you right now, that is what's going to help these kids be able to do more events. For example, I'm going to just use that chapter. That's what's going to get them to be able to do more events where they can continue this movement and grow it. And, I've been able to do my show because honestly, I owe everything to by the grace of God. Honestly, God has blessed me with so much more than I deserve, and I say that sincerely. Like I said, and you announced it originally. Like, if you had told me 4 months ago that I would be sitting here doing this show with you, 4 months ago that my show would have reached over 1 million views in 4 months, if you had told me that it was already going to hit 15,000 plus followers, and I was going to have Sheriff Chad Bianca, who I truly believe is going to be the next governor of California, and who's become a very good friend of mine, who was one of the first people that texted me when Charlie Kirk died, which is such a testament to his character, by the way. If you told me I'd be working on a congressional campaign, if you had told me that I was going to be on the Charlie Kirk show or national TV or in the studio with OAN with Riley Lewis next week or having Grant Stinchfield, I would have said, bullshit, you're absolutely insane. My life in the last 4 months has taken off to a degree unimaginable. And I'm seriously blown away. I slap myself because I feel like I'm living in a movie. I really do. I don't feel like my life feels real at times. I'm like, God is so good. God is so good. It's unexplainable for me. I'm speechless. But the reason I say that is because my show has been able to take off by the grace of God. And for example, somebody asked me, Roman, what's your biggest goal? Having President Trump on my show in the Oval Office. They go, yeah, but like kind of what's your next step? And I go, oh, I'm trying to monetize the show. And right now that is my next step. I'm really trying to monetize the show because for me, you know, you have all these ambitions, you have all these goals. For example, I'm going to do a show with former Congressman Myra Flores from Texas. And she's actually running for Congress again. She won, but then she didn't win re-election. Now she's running again. And she's a former representative from Texas, and I'm getting her on the show. Ideally, I would love to be able to fly out there and do it in her office, right?
Yeah.
But I can't, right? And I got the funding. So stuff like that, right? Or, you know, I got invited to do a show in D.C. Do I want to fly out to D.C. and be in the studio? Absolutely. Can't just fly out to D.C. and be in the studio. So certain funding, I think, for me, and then from a marketing perspective. So my latest project, which I have not publicly announced, but I am right now.
Yeah.
I actually have not even announced it on my Instagram. So the Roman Medeiros show is doing campus tours, and we're teaming up with Turning Point chapters across the state. I've already talked to quite a few presidents from Cal Poly SLO to Cuesta College to Allen Hancock College, Vanguard, UCI, Cal State Fullerton. So we're going to be doing campus tours, and the first one's going to be at Cal Poly SLO. We're still figuring out a date. It's going to be the end of October, early November. And the way that this event's going to be is I'm not Charlie Kirk. I think I have strong arguments, but I don't feel comfortable enough sitting out there and debating people like Charlie did. I think I'm getting there, but I'm not ready. So what I'm going to do, and I still want to make an impact, I still want to be able to be an inspiration for young people and be a voice for them. And I feel like I've created a platform definitely on the Central Coast because most of my followers are from San Luis Obispo County. We're going to do basically, I'm going to call it an experience at Cal Poly SLO in one of their theaters, and we're teaming up with the Turning Point chapter, and we're going to open in prayer. We're going to have I can't say who yet, but literally a freaking country music star who I would have never imagined booking, by the way.
Amazing.
A freaking country music star who has a song with Dolly Parton is going to be doing the national anthem and open in music. Wow. I'm going to come out and give my speech. I'm not going to announce the speakers yet because finalizing, you know how that is.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
But like the speakers are going to be speaking. Yeah. We're going to be having some really badass speakers. So I'm going to open up and give my speech and then kind of my testimony. And we're going to have a local pastor. We're going to have Sheriff Chad Bianca. I'm going to really try to get out. We're going to have, I want to say it's bad, I can't. But we're going to have some pretty big names that people are going to be able to respect and align with from a moral perspective, but also politically. And yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And then I'm going to have a couple student testimonies because faith is a big part of my life. And again, I want to just come together and worship. A lot of it's going to be worship music. I just want people to come together in faith and feel the Holy Spirit working in the building, honestly, and working in their lives. And because politics aside, like I said, it's not a political war we're fighting a spiritual one, and I'm a big believer in that. It's good versus evil. It's right versus wrong. It's humane versus inhumane. It's God versus the enemy. And I'm truly, truly, truly a big believer in that. So for my event, We're going to have speakers. And then once all of the lineup, which is going to be about 3, 4, possibly 5 speakers, if we can get a couple of people to fly out, we're basically going to bring everybody out. We're going to set chairs up on the stage. I'll be in the middle, and then we'll have, this person, this person, this person, this person. Then we're going to open it up. We're going to do open mic. So maybe if it's a legal question, we might have, if we can possibly book him, the DA of SLO, which I truly think he'll be able to come out. So Dan Dow is an amazing man. I actually had him on my show yesterday. I have a wonderful relationship with him. I'm getting coffee with him next week. He's awesome. So I'm sure we're going to be able to get him out, right? So for example, if it's a legal question or it's more maybe about immigration or kind of how they're going to work with ICE, maybe that's a question for the sheriff. I don't know. But different questions, people are going to be able to come up to the mic and kind of talk to the elected officials or the political commentators or the sheriffs or the DAs, who knows? I don't know who they are. Maybe the president. I don't know. But or even myself. So it's going to be cool. And then we'll close in some music. We'll close in some prayer. And like for me, I can tell you right now, the biggest problem I'm going to run into is 2 things. It's the same things Cal Poly SLO's chapter ran into with the Turning Point event for Charlie, is funding. I want to market this like a fucking badass. I'm already ready to put my face on a billboard on the side of 101, Highway 101. I'm literally ready. So I'm ready to put up a billboard. I'm ready to literally knock on every door and put a flyer there. I'm ready to mass produce it on my social media. I'm ready to blast this bitch. So for me, that's my goal. And we're going to be doing it. I'm really excited about it. Like I said, Cal Poly SLO is going to be our first event. And we're going to go from there. Like I said, I've got invited by some other Turning Point chapters to come and speak. So that's the goal. And I think the Row Show campus tour is going to be fun. It's going to be a good way to kind of connect and hear kind of from different perspectives, whether they're in Newport Beach, Irvine, San Diego, San Luis Obispo, Fresno. Like, everybody's going to have different problems within their community. Everybody's going to have different kind of political endeavors. Everybody's going to have something different to say. And I just want to have conversations with people because, again, I started my show because I believe dialogue is dead, and I want to have conversations with people. I want to talk to people. I want to hear what they have to say. That's
amazing. So if you're a boomer watching this is the younger generation that you guys have been talking about. Where are they? They're here. They're doing
alive.
Stuff.
They're alive.
They're very active. I would say, just from my perspective, yes, fund them, write the checks directly to them. Also mentor them, give them contacts, open up your Rolodex, hook them up with people. If you don't have money, that's what you can do. Give them business advice, take them under your wing, show them how to do stuff, because, I see that happen a lot on many different levels. Like, sometimes people get very successful. Right. They may write you a check, but they don't tell you how to use it or how to do it or the best way to use it, whatever.
I couldn't agree more. And also, Gen Z needs to be held accountable. My generation needs to be held accountable, because guess what? You can write them a check and they all want money. Oh, money. Oh, and I want money. I want to go, okay, cool, right? Kids my age, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, they all want money, okay? Yeah. They're all broke. They all want money. Of course, that's like the goal, right? But I think you brought up a really good point I want to touch on, is the fact that mentor them, because I think that's actually way more valuable than money. I've said this from day one. I'm not in this for the money. I'm not making any money right now. And I'm doing this because I've got a pure passion for it. I've got pure love for it. I've got pure interest for it. And I truly believe that Western civilization is under attack by radical Islamic regimes. I'm going to say it. I believe the transgender movement is actually a threat to Western civilization.
It is.
Not the LGBTQ community. I want to make that very clear. I do not believe if you're gay or lesbian, you have a mental disease. I truly do not believe that. Do I agree with you? No, not necessarily, but I wouldn't try to make your life miserable. I truly wouldn't. I do not have a problem with you. I believe that the transgender movement is, I believe it's a threat to our nation. I believe it's a threat to Western civilization. And the last point I'll make is this: I believe it is a mental disease. So, yeah.
Well, just to add on to that, the transgender movement in and of itself, it's a CCP psyop. If you see the 2 biggest donors to that whole I would say movement or establishment, whatever you want to call it. They're two of the biggest Chinese billionaires. They're each multi-billionaires. They don't fund those programs in China. They fund it in America, though. So it's very
who's
strategic.
kind of funding the fentanyl crisis? Who's that?
China.
Oh, is that China? And who started COVID-19? Who was that?
Yeah, China. Dude, I could go on. I went on
so they're also the next threat I was going to bring up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I believe
100%.
Islam, maybe not Islam as a whole, but definitely, jihadi, radical Islamic regimes, I truly believe hate Western civilization. They hate Christians.
Oh, they say it here that they want to. They had a conference in Detroit earlier this year that they were talking about how they will destroy our country from within.
It's mind-boggling. It's scary. But I truly believe it's under attack by China, the CCP, obviously, Islam, transgenderism in some regard. So for me, I truly believe it's under attack. And a young man like me, I'm here talking to you because I'm passionate about it. And I truly believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I want to use whatever platform I can to hopefully influence one person every day to consider God, to turn to the Bible, to turn to the Gospels of Jesus Christ, to go back to church, because we live, I think this is maybe what really sparked it, was we live in an over-sexualized world. And we live in an over-sexualized digital world. And my generation especially is being consumed with disgusting things online, and it's out of control. It is. And this old school, old fashioned, like just morally in line, like biblical life, it doesn't feel tangible anymore because of the culture that we live in, the hypersexualized culture. Are you kind of following?
Yeah. No, I see exactly what you're talking about. It's a very, this is a whole topic for a whole podcast by itself, but
I know I'm kind of bouncing around.
It's a very strategic dissemination, and I would say priming of young men specifically to weaken their sexuality, to make them softer, to go towards transgenderism and all these like sexual fetishes and things that will inevitably just weaken them
as men. They want to weaken the men.
They ultimately, because think about it.
It's a Marxist ideology.
Exactly. You weaken the man, you weaken the family, you weaken society, you dissolve everything from within. It's easier not only to control, but to overthrow a government that doesn't have an active military. And one of the things that's the saddest about your generation is the Zoomers are the first generation in American history that don't have the physical. They're actually under the physical. How was it? I was just talking about this today. That they don't meet the physical requirements. The majority of young men don't meet the physical requirements to qualify for military recruitment.
It's just mind-boggling. That's insane. I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yeah, you can look it up.
And something that just came into my mind was like, young men, I think you guys need to get your act together. Like, yes, we are one of the most conservative generations since our grandparents in the last 50 years. I understand that. It's becoming a very biblical-based generation, which it's wonderful to see. But man, when it comes to treating a woman, I've never seen a generation treat women so terribly. And I think women are also the problem. Don't get me wrong. There's a rise in hoflation. It's very evident.
Hoflation is real, dude.
Hoflation is real. If you guys don't know what hoflation is, it's ho plus inflation. And it's the concept that you have to work 20 times harder than your grandfather did to get a woman 20 times worse than your grandmother was. Yeah.
And not just about attractiveness we're talking about personality.
Oh, I'm not talking about attractiveness at all. I'm talking about
every aspect.
How about just the way values? It goes both ways, but like the way young men and young women in our generation treat each other, that honestly alone is so problematic and it's so scary. And the cheating that happens and the acceptability of it, and it's just, oh my God.
That's why it's so popular to be a passport bro nowadays. That's why so many dudes are going out of the country to find women that have traditional values that, morally represent the idyllic woman.
Yeah. And going back to Nick Fuentes, like Nick Fuentes embodies, when he speaks, he embodies this very extreme masculine figure, but he embodies he doesn't articulate it well, but some of the root to what he's articulating is very biblical based. So it's very biblically in line. So for example, when he talks about women need to shut the fuck up. Okay, that's horrific. And he's like, women, you need to go back into the kitchen. That's horrific. But if you really find the true substance, the true meaning, the true core to what he's trying to articulate, which again, this is where he needs to be less radical and actually be more like Charlie and articulate himself better. But if you look at the substance of what he's trying to articulate, it's fascinating. He's really trying to say that the whole root cause and the whole kind of root emphasis on feminism, feminism corrupts the mind. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying that, you know, young women, you shouldn't have to feel like you have to go work on Wall Street or, you know, be a big tech billionaire bro. Like you can live a normal, healthy, biblically aligned life where you can raise a family, raise God-fearing children, and you know, be a housewife. And essentially that is kind of the root of to what he's articulating, which I agree with. I mean, I think so many young women feel so pressured to go into school when for so long, and again, this is nothing against the women that feel like they want to be the next president of the United States or lawyers or doctors. I have nothing against them. God bless them. But I feel like, and part of it's the culture that we live in, I'm just disgusted that by the fact that young women are totally feeling like they have to go and become a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher or a professor or, you know, go in the medical field or go in the legal field or go in the government field. They feel like they have to go and build up a ladder. They don't feel like they can just raise a family. And a lot of them are not inspired to do that. And I think it's part of the reason is because of our culture. I think our culture's taught them that, like, you have to do this. This is what you're told to do. And I think also from a financial perspective in California, you can, unless you're like in the 1%, you cannot live on a single income household.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So like, that's literally also the problem. So that's when I say our culture's kind of been part of this problem. But young women, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to raise a family. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a housewife and be a 10 out of 10 cook and, you know, have the laundry done when your husband's home and, you know, eat dinner at 5 o'clock. And when your husband walks in, he did the dirty work during the day. You raised the kids. And guess what? Now you guys can enjoy dinner as a family at 5 o'clock and, I don't know, end the night watching Jeopardy. Like, that's gone.
Oh, that's a great life.
Like, that is a great life.
It's a great life. People have been sold a lie that glitz and glamour, then that, like, you have to be bullshit. You have to be jet setting everywhere to have this to be successful. When in reality, the success is ultimately just what makes you happy. Just being happy day to day. You know how many people I know who are extremely successful and are extremely miserable and unhappy, don't have a purpose. They may have $1 million in their checking account right now, but they hate their life. They hate their life. Their kids hate them.
Yeah.
They don't talk. They haven't talked to their kids in years.
Like, relationships are everything.
Everything.
And it comes from
It's
scripture.
how you build meaning.
Yeah, like meaning comes from relationships. Like having genuine, real, quality relationships in your life, especially if they are biblically aligned. Like you have a brother in Christ or a sister in Christ that you can talk to on the daily that really align with you from a moral perspective. I mean, those are truly some of the greatest relationships you'll ever have. And a lot of the time they're very long-term relationships.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is, and I find this just insane, is like, is your mother still alive, if you don't mind me asking? Okay. So if you were to go ask your mother, and I don't know what she does for work. I've never met your mother.
She's retired. She takes care of my dad is pretty advanced with Alzheimer's. She takes care of him.
God bless her.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you ask your mother, Mom, what was your greatest accomplishment in your life? How old is she?
It's like, I think 73, 74.
Okay. So she's lived a long, healthy, wonderful life, I think. So, Mom, you're 73 years old. What is just your greatest accomplishment in your life? And I don't know what your mom did. Maybe she was the president of Brazil. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she was, maybe she's a billionaire. I truly don't know what your mother did.
I'm not laughing because my mom couldn't be the president of Brazil. It's just because I know that there's been one woman who was president of Brazil and she got impeached. So.
Well, maybe your mom is a CEO of a huge corporate company. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's say she is that. Let's say your mom is a CEO of a huge corporate company in Brazil. And I only say that because I know you're from Brazil. So your mom's a huge corporate CEO. Great. Mom, what's the greatest accomplishment of your life? Was it being the CEO of that huge corporate company in Brazil? Or was it raising me, your son? What do you think she's going to say?
She would say the family 100%.
Right.
Building a family, having me and my brother and raising us and that
is the greatest accomplishment a young woman can do, is raise God-fearing, successful children who can come back and love on their mother and care for their mother and be there for their mother. And that is the greatest accomplishment that you can do in your life. It's not climbing up the corporate ladder at Microsoft. Excuse me.
And you want a real challenge? Today, look at today, the cultural, the political environment. It's harder to raise a family today. You want a real challenge? That's a real challenge. Going up the corporate ladder, you're just selling your time for money. I don't know when people are going to realize that.
Yeah.
You're selling your time. You're I don't understand this. How women have been sold this lie, accepted this lie.
I know
that it's better to be in an office having somebody yell at you and tell you what to do than to literally take care of a household, take care of your children, make food. Honestly, it sounds like a great life.
I just don't know why our culture shits on it. I don't get that.
It's part of the Marxist playbook. You break down the family. We could go down that road, but
it is part of the Marxist playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, Karl Marx was a huge advocate. The first thing he said, if you break the family, if you break the family dynamic, if you destroy the nuclear family, that is literally the first step to basically creating a Marxist ideology,
Marxist class,
Marxist class, a Marxist ideology, continuing the Marxist agenda, which is what he wanted. And I don't know. I just always found that so fascinating. The fact that it always feels like, from my perspective, just being 18 years old, it feels like, I'll just say that in recent times, in modern American history, I'll clarify, it really feels like there's a clear and direct threat on children.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's very purposeful.
Oh, it is.
And I think I truly do believe this. I believe that they're creating us to live in a society where you can't really survive without dual income household, because they want both of the parents gone. They want
more taxes.
They want both of the parents gone in the workforce. They want more taxes because guess what? They're both working. Income tax, boom, right there. Great. And then on top of that, you've got two young children, for example. Let's say if you got a boy and a girl. You got two young children at home, and who's raising those children if you guys are both working full-time, possibly two jobs? Oh, they're being raised by those radical left-wing teachers in the elementary school. Oh, they're being raised by the government.
Basically, yeah.
That's literally what's happening. They're being raised by the freaking government. And I find that so insane. This didn't happen when our grandparents, or even in some regard, our parents, my parents, my grandparents worked, but my parents were still raised by their parents, right? We don't live in that anymore. And then that's how you get kids thinking they can transition to being a furry at 8 years old.
Yeah, so it started, it just went off the rails. Roman, I do have to start wrapping it up. Yeah. This is great. I feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours. You're so entertaining. I really love the fact that we have young men like you involved in the movement. I'm not even that much older than you. I'm 40, or you're 20.
You're 40?
Yeah, I'm 40. What are you, like 20,
you do not look 40. You don't even have a piece of gray hair.
I don't. I feel like I do have a bunch.
You're really 40?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What year were you born?
85.
You're really 40.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, how old are you?
40. I'm 18.
You're 18. So we're like 22 years apart. I feel like it's not even, it's not even that much of a difference. Obviously,
doesn't feel
I have a different
like it
perspective
at all.
The years just go by so fast. Once you hit 20, that's just what it was for me. Like it felt
really
like it blinked. Yeah, it was like so fast.
I can't wait till I'm like 80. That's like my life goal.
Yeah,
I've always just wanted to be the old man who lived hopefully a healthy, successful, victorious life with my loved ones around me, and who just like lived on some acreage, and I sat on the porch like watching my grandkids play, like that, having a cup of coffee, listening to like Hannity. Hannity will be gone, but like
you'll be listening to reruns,
right? I'll be listening to me probably.
Yeah,
but like I'll be telling my grandkids, this guy's name's Charlie Kirk. You heard of Charlie Kirk? They're like, yeah, Grandpa, you told us about Charlie Kirk 15 fucking times. We get it.
That's a beautiful life. You're gonna live that. It'll happen. God bless you. But I'm really happy that we have young men like you involved in the party and the movement. We need young men like you. I know you probably hear this all the time, but we do. You know,
starting to hear it more.
Yeah,
the last like 2 weeks, especially.
Yeah. Well, that's the correct sentiment. We do, and we need it primarily because this is how we're gonna save this country. I agree. It's the battle. I was talking to somebody today. It was a World War II vet. And, I was telling him that, I was telling him exactly what I told you. It was like, we have to, once we have young people come in, like you guys have to mentor them. Like you guys have to like work with them, and then they want to. It's just, some of these old guys, they're stuck in their way sometimes, But
I think, again, and I said this earlier and I'm going to reinstate it. It's just like, my generation also, and young men, you guys need to do a better job at respecting your elders. Like it comes straight from the Bible. Like it's very clear. Scripture makes it very clear that you have to honor those who rule over you, respect those who rule over you, obey those who rule over you. And maybe rule over you isn't maybe the right terminology in 2025, but the moral of the story is your coaches, your teachers, your elders, your parents, your professors in some regard, honestly, as much as I hate to say it, your professors, your pastors, I didn't want to lead into that, but your pastors, anybody who obey, rules over you, you need to obey. And it doesn't mean like you got to obey to a T, but at times you can ask questions, at times you can critique, at times you can state your opinion, but you shouldn't just be this young little dick. And I think from an older person's perspective, now I'm not old, but I actually get along amazing with older people. Like I love talking to my grandpa. I love talking to my grandparents. I have a wonderful relationship with them. And I love old people. I absolutely love old people. I've always gotten along with them really well. And I think like when I talk to them, I think they literally look at us like we're a gone generation, actually. Like even when I talk to older people, even like if I go to the SLO County Republican headquarters when and it's all older people volunteering their time and stuff, I'll talk to them, and a lot of them will say just like they actually don't see it from my perspective. Like I feel like there's so much hope. Yeah. And I feel something like, dude, there's something happening, and I'm ready to be on this train, and I'm ready to lead it. And older people, I think, look at it like some maybe respect it and see it, but a lot of them are like, these kids are just a bunch of little punks who are addicted to their phones and are stuck on their vape. And,
I don't think they see it necessarily like that, but I think that they see these organizations that they've built, and then they don't see like a new crop of young folks coming in. Yeah. But I think that the disconnect happens when because I was actually listening to a clip of Charlie, and he was talking about how he went to these same organizations and he was like the only young person there. It was all white hair. And he ended up creating his own organization that's now it's just all young people all over the country. Yeah. So what happened is he couldn't really find a footing in those, so he just went out and made his own. So
I know we got to wrap it up. I could sit here and talk all day.
Oh yeah, we'll do.
You got the wrong guy on. I mean, we'll go for 24 hours straight.
Yeah. Dude. Well, my whole point is like the reason why there's all these old folks get discouraged a little bit or feel that way is because they don't see their organizations getting replenished. But they're not seeing that there are other ones that are being started that are more representative of the young folks, which don't feel like they fit into those, because there is a little bit of like a gatekeepy culture sometimes when you go into these old places.
Totally.
You know? But Roman, we got to wrap up. You got to go to
God
have a dinner.
Bless you. I got
so
dinner.
If you want to just look into that camera and your
this
camera,
guy right here.
Yes, this one. That's your camera. Yeah.
All right.
And if you want to just plug your socials, your website, how can people find you? How can they connect with you? How can they call you in? Yeah, maybe just sit back because now you're sitting forward. Your shot changed.
I got excited. Come on, Dennis. God.
All right.
So I am Roman Medeiros, the host of the Roman Medeiros Show. If you guys are interested in following me on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Spotify, X, it's all The Roman Medeiros Show. The Roman Medeiros Show. TheRomanMedeiros. The Roman Medeiros Show, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Dennis, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. And I'm excited to announce that hopefully within the next 3 years, by the grace of God, we are able to book President Trump on the show. That is my greatest life goal, and at least in regards to the show. And we're going to do it. So President Trump, if you're listening, we're going to get you on the show in the Oval Office within the next 3.5 years.
It'll happen. Well, thank you so much, Roman.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. I see great things coming from you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And by the way, just before we wrap it up, this guy is running for Congress, and I just want to congratulate you on your congressional campaign. It takes balls running in a district that is so heavily blue. I mean, isn't it 25-1? I think you mentioned
D plus 22.
Oh, D plus 22. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just so blue, but I think that with guys like you, and again, going back to funding, getting the right money involved, getting people to back you. I mean, in such a blue district, I think a lot of the times, especially the national GOP, they're like, oh, we're not going to waste our time investing in somebody like you.
Yeah.
But I truly do believe with the right guy, and I'm a firm believer, anything can be twisted, anything can be turned, anything can be flipped red with the right person and the right backing and the right marketing. And I think you have it. You're young. You're a comedian, and I think that helps because it brings a real factor to it. It brings a very personable kind of feel, and people are able to connect. You're not like a guy sitting in a suit, an empty suit politician, saying the same shit over and over, making empty promises. You're new, you're exciting, you're young, you're energetic, and I think you're going to do really well in your political career and your political endeavors. So God bless you and good luck with your campaign.
I appreciate that, Roman. Yeah, I'm going to war. So that's all I'm going to say about
literally, you're going to war. You're literally going to war.
Yes.
Literally.